Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a consciousness researcher at CERN who spent 8 years developing what she called observer theory. Her work went far beyond the standard quantum mechanics observer effect that most physicists accept. Rodriguez was proving something that would fundamentally rewrite the laws of physics. She had evidence that human consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it actively creates it. Her breakthrough came from analyzing quantum measurement data in ways that no one had attempted before. What she discovered was staggering. The universe's fundamental constants, things like the speed of light and gravitational strength, weren't actually constant at all. They varied slightly based on who was observing them and what they expected to find. The variations were tiny, but across millions of measurements, they were statistically undeniable. Rodriguez had stumbled onto proof that objective physical truth doesn't exist independently of conscious minds. The universe we experience is literally manufactured by our collective expectations and beliefs about how reality should behave. Her preliminary findings, which leaked after her disappearance, showed something even more remarkable. Groups of observers with shared beliefs could measurably alter local physics. When teams of physicists conducted identical experiments while holding different theoretical assumptions, they obtained different results that matched their expectations rather than objective physical laws. On March 15, 2019, Rodriguez was conducting her final experiment. According to her notes, she was isolating quantum systems from all conscious observation to measure their behavior. What she found defied everything we understand about physics. Quantum systems left completely unobserved didn't just remain in superposition. They ceased to exist entirely until consciousness returned to observe them. The next morning, Rodriguez was gone. Security footage shows her entering a laboratory 7 the previous evening, but never leaving. Her keycard was never used to exit the building. The laboratory was found locked from the inside, with no one present. Within hours, all of her research data was permanently deleted from CERN servers. CERN officials claimed she took an unscheduled leave of absence, but the evidence tells a different story. Rodriguez had discovered that reality is far more malleable than anyone imagined, and that consciousness is the hidden force holding the universe together. Her disappearance silenced research that would have proven humans are not passive observers of reality, but active creators of everything we experience as physical existence. The second scientist on our list had cracked an even more fundamental code. Dr. Sarah Chen at Harvard University had identified the specific genetic mechanisms that control cellular aging and developed a technique to reverse them completely. She was 24 hours away from revealing how to stop human aging permanently when she disappeared on September 3, 2020. Chen's breakthrough centered on what she called the aging master switch, a previously unknown genetic regulatory system that controlled the entire aging process at the cellular level. Her experiments on laboratory mice produced results that should have been impossible. Elderly mice treated with her gene therapy protocol didn't just live longer. They physically reversed their aging process completely. 24-month-old mice, equivalent to 80-year-old humans, became physiologically identical to 3-month-old mice within 6 weeks of treatment. The therapy worked by reactivating dormant genetic programs that exist in all human DNA, but are switched off during development. Chen had discovered that aging isn't inevitable biological decay. It's a programmed process that can be reversed by reactivating the genetic instructions for cellular renewal and repair. Her human trials, conducted in secret due to regulatory restrictions, showed even more dramatic results. Volunteer subjects experienced complete reversal of age-related cellular damage. 70-year-old participants developed the cellular structure, organ function, and physical capabilities of 25-year-olds within months of treatment. Chen's final laboratory notes describe the mechanism in detail. The therapy reprogrammed human cells to operate in renewal mode rather than aging mode, restoring the unlimited replicative potential that cells possess during youth. Death from old age could become optional for humanity. The night before her scheduled press conference, Chen sent an encrypted message to her research partner, stating she had received unofficial warnings about releasing her findings. Security cameras show her arriving at the laboratory that evening, but she was never seen leaving. Harvard University claims Chen resigned to pursue private research, but her laboratory was sealed immediately after her disappearance. All of her research materials were removed by unidentified federal agents. Her aging reversal therapy, which could have made immortality a reality, vanished along with its creator. Our third missing scientist had made a discovery that threatened the very concept of human mental limitations. Dr. Marcus Webb at Stanford University had proven that human consciousness can be artificially enhanced to superhuman levels, using specific electromagnetic frequencies. His research demonstrated that targeted brain stimulation could unlock mental capabilities that make humans essentially telepathic. Webb's research began with studying savant syndrome, where brain injury suddenly grants individuals extraordinary abilities. He discovered that savant capabilities weren't caused by brain damage, but by altered brainwave patterns that synchronize different regions of the brain in ways that don't occur naturally. Using precision electromagnetic stimulation, Webb could temporarily recreate these brainwave patterns in normal subjects. Volunteers exposed to his consciousness enhancement protocol developed photographic memory, mathematical savant abilities, and most remarkably, to sense other people's thoughts and emotions with startling accuracy. His breakthrough came from mapping the exact frequencies that produced specific mental enhancements. Webb found that consciousness operates on precise electromagnetic wavelengths, and by tuning these frequencies artificially, he could boost cognitive function far beyond normal human limits. Test subjects exposed to Webb's enhancement protocol scored 300% higher on IQ tests, solved complex mathematical problems instantly, and demonstrated abilities that suggested direct mind-to-mind communication. Brain scans showed connectivity between regions that are normally isolated, creating a super brain configuration that unlocked latent human potential. On November 12, 2018, just days before publishing his findings, Webb vanished from his Stanford laboratory. The implications of his research had terrified authorities, who realized that enhanced humans would be impossible to control or manipulate. They would see through propaganda, detect deception instantly, and possibly read the thoughts of government officials and corporate executives. Webb's consciousness enhancement technology represented the ultimate threat to existing power structures, and like the scientists before him, he disappeared along with all evidence of his revolutionary discovery. The fourth scientist to vanish had unlocked secrets that would have revolutionized our understanding of gravity itself. Dr. Yuki Tanaka at Tokyo University was weeks away from announcing the discovery of anti-gravity technology when she disappeared on January 8, 2021. Her research had successfully demonstrated controlled gravitational manipulation using electromagnetic fields, a breakthrough that would have transformed transportation, energy production, and space exploration forever. Tanaka's work built on theoretical physics, suggesting that gravity and electromagnetism are more closely connected than Einstein's equations indicated. She discovered that specific electromagnetic field configurations could create zones where gravitational effects were reduced, amplified, or even completely reversed. Her laboratory demonstrations defied everything we thought we knew about the fundamental forces of nature. Colleagues who witnessed her experiments described phenomena that seemed impossible. Tanaka could make objects hover weightlessly above her experimental apparatus, create localized zones where gravity pulled upward instead of down, and generate artificial gravitational fields that attracted objects regardless of their mass. She was essentially editing the gravitational environment within her laboratory. The technology worked by manipulating what Tanaka called gravitational field lines, invisible structures in space-time that determine how mass curves space around itself. Her electromagnetic generators could grab and redirect these field lines, allowing her to rewrite the rules of gravity within controlled areas. Independent verification by other physicists confirmed that Tanaka's anti-gravity effects were genuine. Objects placed within her experimental field lost measurable weight, and precision instruments detected changes in local gravitational acceleration that violated general relativity. The implications were staggering beyond imagination. Anti-gravity technology would make space travel as simple as driving a car, eliminate the need for fossil fuels, and provide unlimited clean energy by harnessing gravitational potential. The discovery would transform human civilization overnight, making current transportation and energy systems completely obsolete. 3 days before her scheduled presentation to the International Physics Consortium, Tanaka received an unscheduled visit from officials claiming to represent international energy interests. Security footage shows them entering her laboratory, but the cameras mysteriously malfunctioned for several hours afterward. When the footage resumed, Tanaka was gone, and her anti-gravity apparatus had been completely dismantled. Tokyo University claims she accepted a position with a classified government research program, but no official records of such a program exist. Her gravitational manipulation technology, which could have freed humanity from the constraints of gravity itself, vanished along with its creator. Our fifth missing scientist had proven that telepathy isn't paranormal fiction, but a natural human ability waiting to be activated. Dr. Robert Hayes at Johns Hopkins University demonstrated that the human brain contains dormant circuits for direct mind-to-mind communication. On May 22, 2019, he disappeared just hours before publishing results that would have proven thought transmission is scientifically achievable. Hayes discovered that human brains naturally emit weak electromagnetic signals containing encoded information about thoughts, emotions, and sensory experiences. These neural broadcasts are usually too faint to be detected by other brains, but Hayes developed amplification technology that could boost the signals to detectable levels. His experiments involved pairs of volunteers in separate electromagnetically shielded rooms. When one subject viewed images or heard sounds, Hayes's amplification system could transmit their neural signals to the second subject, who would then experience the same sensory information without any direct sensory input. The accuracy was extraordinary and undeniable. Subjects could transmit not just simple images, but complex thoughts, emotional states, and even specific memories. The receiving subjects described experiencing transmitted thoughts as if they were their own, creating a direct neural connection between separate minds that functioned like biological Wi-Fi. Hayes's breakthrough came from mapping the specific brainwave frequencies that carry different types of mental information. Thoughts operate on different electromagnetic wavelengths than emotions, which operate on different frequencies than sensory experiences. By isolating and amplifying these specific frequencies, Hayes could create controllable telepathic communication that worked reliably every time. The technology worked both ways with terrifying implications. Not only could thoughts be transmitted between minds, but Hayes's system could also read thoughts by detecting and decoding the electromagnetic signals naturally produced by neural activity. His equipment could essentially eavesdrop on human consciousness itself. Government agencies took immediate interest when they realized the implications for intelligence gathering and interrogation. The ability to read thoughts directly would revolutionize espionage, criminal investigation, and military intelligence. No secret would be safe from technology that could access consciousness itself. Hayes was last seen leaving his laboratory on the evening of May 21st. Security cameras showed him exiting the building normally, but he never arrived home. Anathy research was of his telep removed from university has not been seen since. All servers within 24 hours of his disappearance. The sixth scientist to vanish had developed something even more impossible. Dr. Lisa Morrison at MIT had created a working theory of time travel based on quantum mechanics and was preparing to test it when she disappeared on August 14th, 2020. Her research suggested that consciousness could be projected backward through time to influence past events, a discovery that would have rewritten the laws of physics and causality. Morrison's breakthrough came from studying quantum eraser experiments that showed future measurements could retroactively change past quantum states. She realized that if quantum information could travel backward through time, then larger systems, including human consciousness, might be able to do the same under specific conditions. Her theory involved creating temporal resonance fields using quantum entanglement and electromagnetic manipulation. These fields would allow consciousness to establish communication channels with past versions of itself, creating a form of time travel that operated through information transfer rather than physical displacement. Laboratory demonstrations witnessed by colleagues showed phenomena that defied the linear nature of time. Morrison could influence random number generators from the past by focusing her intention on specific outcomes in the present. Computer records would retroactively change to reflect her current thoughts, as if information was flowing backward through time to alter historical events. The implications were terrifying for anyone with secrets to hide. If consciousness could influence the past, then historical records could be rewritten. Evidence could be retroactively destroyed, and past events could be modified to change present outcomes. The entire concept of fixed history would become meaningless. Morrison's experiments grew increasingly ambitious, as she claimed to have successfully sent warnings to her past self, creating temporal loops where she received information about future events before they occurred. Her laboratory notebooks contained predictions about stock market movements and political events that proved accurate with disturbing precision. The day before her planned demonstration to military officials, Morrison told colleagues she had made contact with future versions of herself who warned that temporal technology would be weaponized by governments to rewrite history according to their preferences. She expressed fears that her discovery would be used to create alternate timelines where democratic governments never existed. Morrison's laboratory was found empty the following morning, with all equipment removed, and no trace of her temporal research apparatus. MIT officials claim she relocated to work on classified projects, but security footage shows her laboratory being cleared by unidentified personnel in the middle of the night. Her time travel research, which could have given humanity the power to edit history itself, disappeared along with the scientists who discovered that the future can indeed change the past. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore, and the remaining scientists on our list would face even more dramatic disappearances. The seventh scientist to disappear had unlocked the deepest secrets hidden within human DNA itself. Dr. Kevin Park at the University of California had decoded what scientists dismissively called junk DNA and discovered it contained a sophisticated programming language that controls human behavior, intelligence, and extraordinary abilities most people never realize they possess. Park's groundbreaking research focused on the 98% of human DNA that doesn't code for proteins. While mainstream science had written off this genetic material as evolutionary debris, Park found intricate patterns that resembled computer programming languages more than random biological sequences. Using advanced pattern recognition algorithms, he decoded what he termed genetic software embedded within non-coding DNA. These genetic programs appeared to control everything from personality traits and cognitive abilities to capabilities that conventional science refuses to acknowledge. Park discovered that this genetic software could be rewritten using targeted gene therapy techniques, essentially allowing him to upgrade human beings like updating computer operating systems. His breakthrough experiments involved modifying the non-coding DNA of laboratory volunteers with results that bordered on science fiction. Test subjects who received Park's genetic modifications showed IQ increases of 40 to 60 points, developed perfect photographic memory, and displayed enhanced pattern recognition abilities that seemed almost supernatural in their accuracy. Brain scans revealed new neural pathways forming rapidly after genetic modification, as if the enhanced DNA was rebuilding their brains for optimal performance. The volunteers weren't just smarter, they were fundamentally different, operating with cognitive capabilities that made normal humans seem limited by comparison. Most remarkably, some subjects developed abilities that appeared to violate known physics. Enhanced individuals could sense electromagnetic fields with pinpoint accuracy, predict seemingly random events with uncanny precision, and even influence electronic devices through mental intention alone. Park's genetic modifications had unlocked latent human capabilities that conventional science insisted were impossible. The implications were revolutionary beyond measure. If human potential was limited only by genetic software restrictions, then anyone could be enhanced to genius-level intelligence, perfect health, and extraordinary sensory abilities. Park's discovery suggested that normal human limitations were artificial constraints that could be removed through genetic reprogramming. His research notes described plans for developing genetic enhancement protocols that could be administered like vaccines, upgrading human capabilities on a global scale. Enhanced humans would possess intelligence levels that would make current geniuses seem cognitively impaired by comparison, creating a new species of superhuman beings. Government agencies and military contractors took immediate interest when they realized Park's genetic enhancement could create super soldiers with enhanced physical and mental capabilities. Intelligence services also recognized that genetically enhanced individuals would be impossible to deceive or manipulate using conventional psychological techniques. Park's final laboratory entries described mounting pressure from military contractors and pharmaceutical companies, demanding exclusive access to his genetic enhancement technology. He expressed deep concern that genetic upgrades would be restricted to elite groups, creating a permanent genetic caste system where enhanced humans ruled over unmodified populations. On October 5, 2019, security footage shows Park working alone in his laboratory during the evening hours, but he was never seen leaving the building. University officials claimed he accepted a position with a private biotechnology company, but all of his genetic enhancement research was removed from university databases within hours of his disappearance. Our eighth missing scientist had achieved something that sounds like pure science fiction. Dr. Ahmed Hassan at Cambridge University had successfully opened gateways to parallel dimensions and was documenting alternate versions of Earth when he vanished on December 19, 2020. His research proved that multiple realities exist simultaneously and developed technology to access them directly. Hassan's work began with quantum many-worlds theory, which suggests that every quantum measurement creates alternate realities where different outcomes occur. He developed dimensional resonance technology that could detect and eventually access these parallel universes, turning theoretical physics into practical interdimensional exploration. His breakthrough involved creating controlled quantum measurement cascades that opened microscopic doorways between dimensions. Hassan could observe alternate versions of his laboratory where different experimental outcomes had occurred, providing direct visual proof that parallel realities exist alongside our own in an infinite multiverse of possibilities. The technology evolved with frightening speed. Hassan's dimensional gateways grew from microscopic apertures to openings large enough to pass objects between realities. He began retrieving samples from alternate dimensions, including materials with impossible properties and documents describing historical events that differed dramatically from our timeline. Colleagues witnessed Hassan receiving messages from alternate versions of himself working on identical research in parallel dimensions. The alternate Hassans had made similar breakthroughs and were sharing information across dimensional boundaries, creating a collaborative research network that spanned multiple realities and pooled knowledge from infinite versions of human civilization. Hassan's most disturbing discovery was that some parallel Earths had experienced catastrophic events that hadn't occurred in our reality. He documented dimensions where nuclear war had devastated civilization, where plagues had eliminated most of humanity, and where environmental collapse had made the planet completely uninhabitable. But he also found dimensions where human civilization had achieved incredible advances, far beyond our current capabilities. Hassan retrieved technology from realities where diseases had been completely eliminated, where unlimited clean energy had been mastered, and where humans had developed superhuman cognitive abilities through advanced genetic engineering. The implications were staggering beyond comprehension. If technology and knowledge could be transferred between dimensions, humanity could gain access to solutions for every problem by studying more advanced parallel civilizations. Dimensional engineering could provide unlimited resources and infinite knowledge from countless alternate realities. Hassan's final research notes describe plans for creating permanent dimensional gateways that would allow regular travel between parallel Earths. He had identified dimensions where more advanced versions of humanity had solved climate change, eliminated poverty, and even discovered faster-than-light travel. Government agencies quickly realized that dimensional technology could provide access to unlimited resources, advanced weapons, and strategic intelligence from parallel versions of enemy nations. The technology represented the ultimate military and economic advantage, offering the ability to steal solutions from more successful alternate realities. Hassan was last seen in his laboratory on December 18th, working on expanding his largest dimensional gateway to human-sized proportions. Security cameras recorded strange electromagnetic disturbances around his equipment, followed by a bright flash that temporarily blinded the recording systems. When the footage cleared, Hassan was gone, and his dimensional gateway apparatus had been completely destroyed. Cambridge University maintains that Hassan relocated for classified government research, but his laboratory showed signs of controlled demolition that eliminated all traces of his breakthrough technology. The scientist who had opened doorways to infinite realities had himself disappeared into the void. The ninth scientist to vanish had proven something that challenges the very foundation of human existence. Dr. Maria Santos at Stanford University demonstrated that human consciousness survives bodily death and developed technology to communicate with the deceased when she disappeared on July 31st, 2021. Her research overturned fundamental assumptions about the nature of life, death, and what lies beyond. Santos's breakthrough came from studying near-death experiences using advanced brain monitoring technology. She discovered that consciousness doesn't reside in the brain, but uses it as a communication interface, similar to how radio signals use receivers, but exist independently of the radio itself. Her experiments involved monitoring brain activity in patients during cardiac arrest and clinical death. Santos found that consciousness-related electromagnetic activity continued even after brain functions ceased completely, suggesting that the mind operates through mechanisms that don't depend on living brain tissue. Using specialized detection equipment, Santos could measure and record the electromagnetic signatures of consciousness after death. Her devices detected organized information patterns emanating from recently deceased subjects, proving that some aspect of mental activity persists beyond bodily death in ways that science had never imagined possible. Santos developed communication protocols that allowed limited interaction with deceased subjects. Using electromagnetic field modulation, she could send simple messages to consciousness entities and receive coherent responses that demonstrated persistent memory, personality, and cognitive function after death. The implications revolutionized understanding of human existence itself. If consciousness survives death, then human life extends far beyond biological limitations. Santos's research suggested that death is merely a transition to a different mode of existence rather than the end of consciousness, fundamentally altering how we understand the meaning of life itself. Her later experiments involved more complex communication with deceased subjects who provided detailed information about their post-death experiences. The deceased described existing in alternate dimensional spaces where thought creates reality directly and where consciousness can travel instantly across vast distances without physical limitations. Santos's final research notes described plans for developing technology that could allow regular communication between living and deceased consciousness entities. She envisioned a future where death wouldn't separate families and where humanity could access the accumulated knowledge of all deceased humans throughout history. Her laboratory contained detailed recordings of conversations with deceased scientists who described advanced technologies and scientific discoveries they had made while existing in post-death consciousness states. The deceased claimed to have access to knowledge and capabilities far beyond what's possible in biological form. Santos was scheduled to present her findings to an international consortium of neuroscientists when she vanished without a trace. Stanford University claims she took an extended sabbatical, but all of her consciousness survival research was immediately classified and removed from university systems. Security footage shows Santos working alone the evening before her disappearance, but she was never seen leaving the building. Her consciousness communication technology was dismantled and removed by unidentified personnel claiming to act under national security authority. The 10th and final scientist represents perhaps the most threatening discovery of all. Dr. James Wright at MIT had discovered that physical reality operates like a computer simulation and developed methods to edit its programming code when he vanished on February 14, 2022. His research proved that the universe is essentially software running on a cosmic computer, and that fundamental physical laws can be rewritten by accessing the underlying code. Wright's breakthrough came from studying quantum mechanics and computational theories simultaneously. He noticed that quantum behavior closely resembled how computer programs handle information processing, with quantum superposition functioning like simultaneous data calculations and wave function collapse resembling program execution. His experiments involved creating quantum systems that could access what he called reality source code, the fundamental information structures that define physical laws. Wright discovered that by manipulating quantum information in specific ways, he could temporarily alter local physics within his laboratory in ways that defied everything we understand about the universe. Colleagues witnessed demonstrations where Wright could change the speed of light, alter gravitational acceleration, and modify the fundamental constants that govern atomic structure. His laboratory became a testing ground for edited physics, where normal rules were suspended and replaced with custom physical laws that he programmed himself. Wright's most significant discovery was that consciousness appears to have administrative privileges in reality's programming system. Human minds could access and modify the universe's source code through directed quantum meditation techniques combined with his technological interfaces. His technology merged quantum computing with consciousness-machine interfaces, allowing human operators to directly edit physical reality by thinking specific thoughts while connected to his quantum programming system. Users could modify local physics simply by imagining different physical laws and uploading their intentions to what Wright called the universal operating system. The implications were godlike in their scope and terrifying in their potential. If reality was programmable software, then humans with the right technology could modify anything about existence itself. Gravity, time, matter, energy, even the fundamental structure of space-time could be edited like text in a cosmic word processor. Wright was last seen in his laboratory on February 13th, apparently preparing to demonstrate his most advanced reality programming system. Security cameras recorded strange visual distortions around his equipment, followed by electromagnetic interference that corrupted all surveillance footage for several hours. When the systems resumed normal operation, Wright had vanished and his reality programming laboratory had been completely sanitized. MIT officials claimed he was recruited for classified government research, but his disappearance marked the end of all academic research into the programmable nature of physical reality. The pattern is now complete and undeniable. 10 brilliant scientists, 10 revolutionary discoveries, 10 systematic disappearances that eliminated knowledge, which could have transformed human civilization beyond recognition. But the story doesn't end with their vanishing. These 10 missing scientists represent more than tragic losses to the scientific community. They're evidence of a systematic pattern that reveals the hidden architecture of knowledge control in our world. From consciousness manipulation and genetic enhancement to dimensional travel and reality programming, their discoveries touched on technologies that would have fundamentally altered the balance of power on Earth. What unites these disappearances isn't coincidence, but deliberate suppression targeting specific types of revolutionary breakthrough. Scientists who prove consciousness creates reality, who develop anti-aging treatments, who unlock telepathic abilities, or who access parallel dimensions don't simply lose funding or face academic criticism. They vanish entirely, along with every trace of their work. The implications are staggering. If these researchers actually achieve the breakthroughs their evidence suggests, then human potential is far greater than we've been told. We might possess dormant genetic programs for superhuman intelligence, consciousness that transcends death, and the ability to manipulate the fundamental code of reality itself. We might be living in a universe where time travel is possible, where thoughts can be transmitted between minds, and where aging is nothing more than a software program that can be rewritten. Perhaps most disturbing is what these disappearances reveal about the forces controlling human knowledge. The pattern suggests that discoveries threatening existing power structures aren't just suppressed, but eliminated entirely, along with the brilliant minds that made them. These scientists didn't just lose their careers for getting too close to forbidden knowledge. They lost their very existence. The question isn't whether these discoveries were real. The evidence strongly suggests they were. The question is, who controls these suppressed technologies now, and what they're doing with knowledge that could transform humanity, but has been deemed too dangerous for public release. The missing scientists prove that reality is far stranger and more malleable than we've been allowed to know, and they paid the ultimate price for revealing truths that some powers prefer to keep hidden forever.